Hey guys, and today I'm going to be showing you how to tie the long shank slip D-rig. Now this, if you don't know, is a long shank slip D-rig. So obviously it's a long shank hook, obviously in the name, with a bait screw, a kicker, and some supple braid. I haven't been using this a great deal over the last 12 months, but lately, just because I started using long shank hooks, this is vastly becoming my favourite rig. Just because how easy it is to tie and how effective it is. Because it's a long shank, it's got excellent hooking properties. So if you pull it, it almost every time goes in. You can see it's dug into my hand, that's it. So you might be wondering why I've got all this snag tackle stuff. It's because I am official member of the snag tackle team now. I have been for about a week, I'd say, coming up to a week. But I've used their products beforehand, and I can tell you from me, their quality. Everything from the kickers to the hooks to everything else what I've got all here and more in my bag, it's just absolute quality. And the best thing about it isn't going to break you the bank either. These are really cheap, everything from down the hooks. So a packet of hooks is below £3, and I mean for 10 hooks for under £3, that is ridiculous. Any other company, you're talking upwards to a £5 to a £10 some hooks, and they perform no difference in my experience. I mean, I've used every hook in the arsenal, so you can imagine I've got some background knowledge on all of them. I've got every sort of hook in this box here, and for me to use a product, it has to be good, because I don't want stuff in my bag or my box which is going to let me down. And I know now, after using these, they're not going to let me down. So everything we're going to need for this rig is a bait screw, a 360 bait screw, a long shank hook, which is in the name, and a kicker. You can use any colour kicker, it doesn't matter. I use pink a lot as well, as you can see in this other long shank. You know, pink, so, and I've got yellow ones, etc. But I'm just going to do black for the purposes of this. Or you could even use some shrink tube, but I'm just going to use kickers because it's simpler. So all this is going to be available on their website or Instagram. Also hit me up on Instagram as well. It's my name, JackHarleyHeath. And you can see all the products there. They're really good and really good prices. So without further ado, let's get into it. Right then, first of all, what we're going to do is we're going to take about 14 inches of the braid. Now I always overcut the braid just because I know for certain then I've got enough to finish the rig. Because I've had it before where I've done all the hook end and then realised I haven't got enough to do the actual main line. So first of all, what we're going to do is we're going to take about 2 inches from the end, fold it over like a loop. Bring that to a nice point. And we're going to fold this then, well, not fold it, pass it through the front of the hook. Now this can be a bit fiddly, so if you just pass it through like so. That was actually so much easier than I did with that rig up there. I had to get a little tool I've got and everything on that. So pass it through so it's coming out the back of the hook. Then what we're going to do is make that to a fine point again and thread on the bait screw. So this can be quite fiddly as well. So if this does get a bit fiddly, just have to persevere. That's it, it's gone on beautiful. So that should be next to the hook now. So this is where the slip D comes into it. So we're going to pass this loop over the hook, so it should be trapped like that, and if you pull the bait screw, should lock it into place like so. So you've got that lovely motion there and it's trapped onto the shank of the hook. Yeah, like so. So now that's done, get it all nice and knitted up into the length you want it. So I have it just opposite the barb. I then trim off that tag end like that. Doesn't have to be 100%. And then we're going to knotless knot it onto the shank of the hook. So take the original braid, and if you don't know how to knot this knot, I'll show you quick, but I've got videos on it. So hold the hook how you feel comfortable, and then we're going to wrap this braid round the shank of the hook about 8 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right, so you can see that it's wrapped around about 8 times. And then what we're going to do, we're going to pass this end, if you lick it, just so the end goes in nice, and pass it through the eye of the hook again. This is where it becomes difficult because you've got so much line going through that eye. Sometimes, depending on what braid and stuff you use, it can be a bit fiddly. So I've just got a little gadget here for sewing. If you put that through and pull it, that all goes through lovely. Pull it down, and that is done. So then what you've got the D on the back of the hook. That's where the name comes from, the slip D. You've got that knot that's knotted, so it's strong. So that's that portion done. So that's really nice. Just have a bit of a fiddle with it, so you know it's all nice and neat. So then what we're going to do, we're going to take the kicker, the black kicker, and thread it on to the braid. Thread it on nice. Ooh. Like I say, if you've got big hands like me, it's a bit of a struggle. Pull that down to the hook, and this will sit over all that knot and that tag end and neaten it up a treat. So if you just moisten it a bit with your mouth, so as you can see I've got a bit of saliva on there, goes on a bit easier in theory. That's it. Push that on, and as you can see that looks lovely and neat. Now you've got all that movement and that is going nowhere. And that is pretty much, I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but that is the bulk of your rig done. So what I then do is select how long I want my rig. Get that bit of fluff out of the way. Select how long I want it. I want it about 8 inches. That's like my go-to length for rigs like this. Obviously there'll be times where I'll need it longer or shorter, but this is my go-to length. So then what I do is I figure of 8 loop it on figure of 8 loop knot it, basically, just because the lead setup I'm using is I basically just loop to loop all my rigs on, and it makes it so easy to take on and off. So if you don't know how to loop it, what we do is make another loop like this, wrap it round the finger, so you should have 2 loops in effect then. So I've got this one and this one. If we twist this round and pass that through that loop, that tag end through that loop, he says, then once you pull it now, as you can see it looks like an 8. That's where it gets its name from. If you pull that nice and tight, this braid's really good for knot strength. Trim the tag end off like so, and that is the slip.